Well, I'm out here at my training area for my Pathfinder Phase 1 certification, and the snow stopped since last week. The bad thing is the winds picked up. It was about 50 miles an hour winds plus coming through this area this week. It's blown most of the insulation off my shelter, and I'd have to replace that if I was going to stay out here. But the good thing is the main part of my structure is in good repair. So today I'm going to be working on trapping skills. Although trapping small game is less productive than foraging, the payoff is much greater if you get something in terms of calories and nutrients for your body. In researching food procurement, I had to ask myself a few questions. How long can I live without food? What are the effects of not having food on my body? And lastly, how long can I perform life-sustaining tasks like building fire and getting water and building shelter without having a problem? The first thing I did when I got here was to do a recon to try to assess whether or not it would be good for trapping here. The river is about 100 feet to my rear, and there's multiple game trails going through the woods from here to the river. Also, as I looked around, I found quite a few minor game trails, scat and tracks all through the area. As I looked a little closer, I also found quite a few burrows and bedding areas. So let's go get started and we'll practice setting up some snares. Now we follow the trail over here where it goes under the two dead logs, and we're gonna set one right where it comes out under the rotted part of that second dead log there. Okay, so here's how we're gonna make this snare. I've got some wire that's used for hanging pictures. It's about a 15-pound test. Comes on a spool, very inexpensive. I paid less than $1 for this. So we want to cut off a section, let's say 1.5 feet long. With that section on the end, we're going to create a loop. I'll just twist that loop a little bit so you can see the loop. Now I'm going to take the short running end and run that through the loop. And then I'll continue to twist that around the rest of the wire. Now we have a loop on the end, and that loop on the end isn't going to cinch tight and prevent the actual snare from cinching tight. So now we'll take the other end of the snare, run it through, and there you go. So let's look at how it works. So the animal comes down the game trail or under that log where you have the snare set. His head goes into the snare. He continues to move forward and it cinches tight on the animal, holding that animal secure until you can get there when you check your traps. So I'll go ahead and attach the parachute cord. Put some sticks in the ground just to balance my snare, and also to form a diversion. I'll place the snare right directly in front of the two sticks there and just balance it on the sticks. Just enough so when the animal's head goes through there to cinch up tight. Okay, so it's in place now. I want to camouflage a little bit just around that snare, just so it won't be so obvious, but not so much that it's going to make it stand out as something different. I'll also place some obstacles in the way just so the animal won't try to go around the snare. Okay, let's give the snare a try and see if it works. And it seems to hold very secure. Okay, so let's recap some of the things we learned today. A snare is not as productive as foraging, but the payoff is much better. When you're out here looking to set up your snares, don't just arbitrarily set them up wherever. You want to set them up, look around, make sure you find scat or game trails. You're looking for the actual tracks of the animal, nesting areas, burrows. So you're not just putting them up anywhere, you're putting them up in a place that you're going to have the best results. You want to leave the bark on your triggers and use as much natural materials as possible to make your snare so it's not so obvious to the animal. And then you want to go back and camouflage, and not so much that it's going to be intrusive, but camouflage so the snare doesn't stand out, and maybe take some dirt or mud and put it on any stripped areas of bark so it also won't stand out. So thanks for joining me today while I worked on my Pathfinder Phase 1 certifications on trapping, and I learned something today, and hopefully you did too.